episode 3, boys and girls. Hey, pals.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
All right. So I had a bunch of stuff I want to talk about, but in the last 24 hours, there's a lot of shit that went on. So I'm going to go through a couple things if you don't mind. Let's stick with sports real quick. Mr. Jeroman, you're Mr. NBA. What are the thoughts of LeBron breaking the scoring record? And then I'll chime in. But you, Nick can't stand the NBA. I'm not a big NBA guy. Anthony, I think, played professionally in the France League for a little while.
The Sicilian League, actually.
Oh, Sicilian League. I apologize. So,
yes. I have friends that are big Cleveland fans, and they just continually talk about LeBron. Me personally, I'm not a big fan. I've never been a fan. I think everything's been handed to him since he was young. He's the gifted one. He's this. For me, I'm a Jordan guy. I will live and die with Jordan. For me, Jordan's the best player ever. Congratulations to LeBron. I mean, obviously, his longevity, he never gets hurt. You know, so all his stats, he's in the top in steals, assists. He's just everything. He's a great player, but I mean, he literally came out last night and said he was the best player ever. And I'm not agreeing with that. But I mean, it is a great feat. I never thought that record by Kareem would be broken. But I'll give him props. Congratulations.
Okay, that's a great take, Eddie. Nick, what's your thought? What's your thought process? Or do you not even care?
I don't even care. I watched it just because I was like, you know what? Let me see what this is going to be like. I wanted to see how it's going to happen. And it happened exactly how I thought it was. It was give LeBron the ball. I think he did it in the third quarter, right?
Yeah.
It was like 30-something points. Yeah. I mean,
in a losing effort, right?
Yeah.
You took my line because I was going to say just that.
I felt it.
I didn't even watch the rest of the game.
Another thing he's done that he's become a loser. Anthony, jump in, and then I'll have the final point.
I hate to say it. I used to love the NBA years ago. I can't stand it either. Whenever I get invited to an Orlando Magic game, which I get invited to a lot, my first question is, what floor seat do I have? Because if it's not on the floor or it's not up in the Rolex suite,
right.
I'm not sitting in a regular seat to watch these guys go up and down. I honestly don't think that the LeBron record is anywhere near as special as it was with Kareem, and a very simple reason why. Kareem has had it since 1984. It was a lot harder back in the 70s and the 80s. Much harder. Yes. So we can say, yes, he's got 38,000 so-and-so points, and hey, yes, it is a record, okay? However, if you look at the longevity of the record, like Joe DiMaggio's 56-game winning streak, they're doing it, not just the longevity of the record, but they're doing it so much harder. And LeBron, Eddie's right, has been fed everything. If you put Michael Jordan in his prime against LeBron James, Jordan beats this guy so badly. I don't care how strong, how Superman this guy is, Jordan was special. LeBron, he is special. I think Kobe Bryant all along was a much better player than LeBron personally. But, if it wasn't for Kobe's injuries, Who knows what would have happened to him. And even he played 20 years. Not a big fan of LeBron. Congratulations on your record. I just don't think it means as much as it did when Kareem did it.
Did you watch it?
Absolutely not.
Did anybody watch it?
I watched the YouTube
I want to say one thing about how silly the whole thing was.
Yeah, go ahead.
They stopped the game.
Oh my God.
They brought everybody and their mother out on the court. They're playing videos. This whole spectacle on this. I'm like, and it's the third quarter. It's like the end of the third, and they're losing too. Like it's just
people were paying $10,000 for those seats.
Hold on, Mikey. Raise.
Good.
They were $90,000. There were seats on the floor.
More, huh?
Yeah. The celebrities were paying $90K a ticket.
Good for them.
So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to make it a little quicker than you guys. I'm going to go full disclosure here. That Miami Heat team was one of my favorite teams. I never enjoyed NBA as much. But I was also Ray Allen. I mean, I love Ray Allen, UConn guy.
UConn.
Right. I love Birdman. I love D Wade. That was an amazing team. I really thought that Miami team was fantastic.
Agreed.
I will also tell you in full disclosure, I kind of enjoy the NBA right now. I don't know why. I just do. I'm a huge fan of Luka. I love him to death. Ja Morant's my guy. I love watching these guys play. I really do. I think everything about me is political. Everything. I hate everything he does. I hate everything LeBron. LeBron reminds me, this is going to sound almost ridiculous, of Barry Bonds. Like, as great as he is, I don't give a shit about anything he does. Like, I just can't stand the guy. Like, people are like, put him in the Hall of Fame, put him here. I don't care what happens to LeBron. So I'm going to go as far as telling you, and I know we're going to get more heat. Fuck you, Mike. You couldn't play basketball, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit what anyone has to say. Here's my top 5. Take it to the bank. I don't care what you have to say. You're going to leave stupid shit on here anyway, but I'm going straight up. MJ, uno, numero, no one will ever touch him. By the way, took 2 years off, came back. He went to play baseball. Like, that man, to me, played in the hardest time of the NBA. Number 2, one of my favorite players, the best story in the NBA, reminds me of Tiger Woods. I'm going to make it clear. Kobe Bryant is, to me, the best. Like, who knows what would have happened if he was still around. He might have beat MJ. I'm going to go number 3. One of my favorites, Larry Bird. I don't care what anyone has to say. It was really close between Bird and Magic, who is my number 4. I love Bill Russell. Another incredible story. And then I guess LeBron is 6th to me. LeBron is 6th somewhere in there. If you guys would like to chime in, Eddie, do you have a top 5 you want to throw out there?
I'll give you my top 5.
Please, I'd like it.
MJ 1, Kareem 2.
All right, that's okay.
Magic Johnson 3.
Agreed.
He definitely changed the game.
No, don't disagree.
I got to go with my Celtics. Larry Bird 4. And I'm going to go to late, great Kobe Bryant 5.
Okay, so we're all not that far off.
And LeBron, like you said, cracking the top 5. Outside looking
right
in.
outside. Anthony, where's your head at?
Number 5.
Oh, you're going backwards. I like
Going
that.
backwards.
Good, pal.
Hey, pal. Let's do an official contender. Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
Number 5, from Boston, Massachusetts, Larry Bird.
Okay.
Number 4, which nobody has brought, Wilt the Stilt
Oh, the
Chamberlain.
Stilt.
100 points to one game.
Many women.
Number 3, a few. Showtime, Magic Johnson.
Okay.
Changed the game.
We all agree with that.
Number 2, second only to MJ, Kobe Bryant. MJ has said, Kobe's probably the only one that could have ever beat me one-on-one, and that's on the record.
That's on the record.
Because he steals all my moves. But, I mean, he meant that in a very, very loving way. And Michael Jordan is number 1. I have LeBron 14th.
Wow.
So,
wow. What do you have number 2?
Because I can definitely
what do you have number 2?
I said 2 is Kobe, 1 is Michael Jordan.
So we're
Number 14, LeBron. And I can easily fill in 6 through 13, but we don't have time to do that, but nor do I really care
Where was
Bill Russell, I have is like number 6 or 7.
Guy has 11 championships.
You know,
where'd you have
where'd
you have John Starks?
No, I'll tell you somebody else.
Where'd you have Linsanity? Did you have him anywhere?
No,
You're a Knicks fan.
As I said, I think I have Patrick Ewing ahead of LeBron. No, seriously though, there's lots of great players over the years, but in all truthfulness, I don't have LeBron in my top 5. I just don't.
This is making me happy. This is my favorite podcast so far. Go ahead, Nick. Where you at, buddy?
I haven't.
You don't even care?
Don't even care.
You don't even care.
Next segment.
All right.
Let me ask this, Nick. Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Can you at least answer that?
Yeah, it's a great question.
I mean,
you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one, I mean, I guess I got to go Jordan.
Right, so we're unanimous.
Yeah,
It is unanimous.
But I will say Kobe's right close second.
Yeah.
But, and beyond that, I don't give a shit.
And by the way, there are people who are going to be pissed off about that. Which is
Good.
Which is fantastic.
By the way, Kobe Bryant, his last game ever, 60 points in a winning effort. LeBron James breaks the all-time scoring letter in a losing effort. Did you say loser before? Did you say loser? Loser with an L.
He is the...
Surprised he's not demanding a trade yet.
He is the ham and hamster.
Put a big L on your crown.
Anyway, all right, so let's move on. All right, so number 2. Again, it's been a crazy couple of days. The last 24 hours. Did anybody watch the State of the Union last night?
It was just
thrilling.
Really?
I was working. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You missed it.
I did.
You missed nothing. So, okay, honestly, you missed nothing. I watched it. The guy lied the whole time. If you voted, I guarantee you, if you vote LeBron, number one, you voted for Joe Biden.
Mike, would somebody please tell the president who the Senate Majority Leader is? Because I think he referred to Schumer as the minority, then corrected himself. Yeah, he did. Okay. Yeah, he did. Just curious. I mean, you might want to know who your biggest fan is. You know, Schumer, he's the Senate Majority Leader, but that's fine.
And when Kamala walked out, no one shook her hand either.
Kamala,
so she's another one.
Ugh.
So here's a topic that Nick is concerned about. I was a little concerned about it too. And now I'm hearing a couple stories about it. Nick, my friend, please tell me in 100 words or less why the United States should be worried about this Chinese balloon situation, my friend.
It's
because this was your topic.
Yeah, no, I it was an idea. I didn't study it. All right, no, but think about it. I guess this thing shows up, right? It's supposed to be a weather balloon. They were calling it. And then it turns out that, China still says it's a weather balloon, I believe.
China.
But yeah, there was surveillance stuff on there. And, my biggest thing was, okay, they found it, over Alaska at first. And it traveled for like a week.
Yes.
Moving down.
Through Montana,
down all the way to the Carolinas. And then they finally, after it's passed over the entire country and taken all the pictures it needs to take, then they shoot it down in the ocean, which I don't understand that. I guess...
You know that they're saying now that there's been 6 of them.
Oh yeah, it's not the first time.
Dating back a few years.
Yeah, and I guess Taiwan also they do it. They were doing it to Taiwan a couple years ago. China was call it same thing, calling them weather balloons.
Weather balloon.
Yeah.
Anthony, how do you feel about the Chinese balloon?
Wow. It definitely is. It's one of two things. It's surveillance. I don't know if it was anything really ultimately to be worried about because their satellites can do far better than a weather balloon. But it's just basically China thumbing their finger at us. It's basically that's what it is. We can do this, invade your airspace, and the reality is the excuse saying, well, we didn't want to blow it over Montana. Let's think about that for a second.
The most rural
state we have. You could have easily warned anybody in an area, I'm not talking about the capital of Helena, somewhere remote, and say we're going to fire a missile at this thing, and it's going to take probably 20 minutes for it to fall down, but you're going to have some pieces of balloon, which, they could have very easily have warned people. 100%. The fact that they let it go all the way across the country, whatever surveillance it is, I don't care if it's weather, it doesn't matter if it's anything more serious, it was just foolish. Why not blow it out of the sky in Alaska? I mean, Nick's right. It came in from Alaska. They have an air defense system, probably the best air defense system. You're only, 90 miles from the Russian Sakhalin Islands. I mean, Jesus. I mean, shoot it down.
Anthony, I like that take. Mr. Jeroman, are you big on this Chinese balloon?
I think they're messing with us. I agree with Anthony. I think they're just messing with us. Yeah. The fact that they said it blew off course accidentally, how far is it blown off course? I just think they're messing with us. And now they're upset that we actually shot it down. Mm-hmm. And they got the virus. We got this. I mean, it's beyond out of control. I'm not a big fan.
Do you guys mind if I go down the conspiracy theory road?
Please.
Am I allowed about
Absolutely.
40 seconds?
We have balloons flying over us. You can do whatever you want.
So I'm going to go with that Chinese balloon was much like the Google car, where that balloon was floating around and the Chinese are looking to buy up all our farm real estate. And I think that it's one of the only ways that they could have gotten through some of those rural areas to figure that out. Also, what a lot of people probably don't understand, because many of my friends they love CNN and MSNBC. I'm also a big believer when the news is telling you this is going on, you need to look in the exact opposite direction. And in that same 8-hour time frame, they released the 9/11, one of the 9/11 guys out of Gitmo. And the only place that would take them was Venezuela. And while everyone was worried about this Chinese balloon, we're releasing one of the head guys from the 9/11 situation, which, I'm not going to get into it now. And a lot of people think I'm insane. It is what it is. We swore we'd never forget. And they knew 20 years later, we would just forget. It's kind of crazy. So that's a story I heard. I heard there was an negotiation for fuel, the whole 9 yards, and that's where he's going. So that's my conspiracy theory. I'm not going to run too far into it.
I don't think you're far off.
I think that's maybe very true. I think the mapping of that part of the country, they are buying up all kinds of land, and they've been attempting to. It may very well be the case. Because, again, the satellites can do far better job than a balloon. And they're going to pick up the pieces of it, and they're going to analyze it, and I don't think you're going to find anything spectacular out of it. It was to screw with us.
I don't disagree with that.
I have a question for you, Mikey.
Sure, buddy.
I mean, this is going to go way back. I'm going back to Pearl Harbor. Do you think
Yes.
China would ever attack us? I'm talking nuclear.
I'm going to go.
Because you know Japan wanted this country.
I mean, there's the clock. This is a great conversation. Here's the thing. If we're going to go back in history, and everything in this world to me is political, I don't think that's something we could talk about in that short of time. But that is a really good question.
Yeah. Next time.
I truly believe, I believe that my president, Donald Trump, had our military where it needed to be, as Obama depleted almost all of it.
100% agree.
I think someone might challenge us soon to just see how tough we are. And I've been in a situation in real life where, you know what, that guy might not be all so tough. And maybe they're not that tough. Maybe they don't have everything they say they have. And I think in our lifetime, someone's going to try us. I do. And I'm hoping that we are prepared. That's just my thought. You guys, I don't know what your thought process.
Well said.
But great question.
I think that somebody will try us. The problem with nuclear is that it basically involves mutually assured destruction. So Biden or whoever's in the White House at the time, just like the Chinese government, you basically have the military commanders in charge at that point. And if there's anybody in that group that's rational on both sides, it stops before it gets started. Because once they go off, it's just. It's beyond devastation. But I think somebody would try us, sure, maybe on a smaller level, try and poison the water supply. Didn't something just recently happen where they arrested somebody? And I meant to write this down for this past week. They stopped somebody that was involving Baltimore, the city of Baltimore. They were going to upset the transportation system or the power grid. That FBI foiled a planned attack. Mm-hmm. So you hear about these things all the time, and
they cover them up for sure.
They cover them up, and
that's another conspiracy, though, Anthony. Mm-hmm. We might be attacked every day. We don't even know.
You might not know.
100%.
I'm sure there's a lot that goes on that we
they're not
know.
telling us anything.
No.
All right, let's change something to a more pure topic that people will appreciate, and that's degenerate gambling. So let's get to here's something. Again, getting back to Eddie's been one of my friends for forever.
35 years.
Anthony's one of my dearest friends forever. Nick's like my little brother. And it's amazing how all the worlds kind of collided. Now you guys have all your own friendships, and everyone hates Anthony anyway. So here's the thing.
Hey,
you
pal.
guys worked hi, pal. You guys worked at the poker room, okay? Mm-hmm. Here's my curiosity. And this is probably a good question because you know what, Eddie? The poker room has done a lot for you. Nick, actually, I think the poker room's done a bunch for you as well. Not only just connections, has you working, you got a house, great kids, you got a bunch of cars. Like, you're doing well. Do you believe, Anthony, the state of gambling in Daytona Beach, forget the state of Florida. Let's just go with the Daytona Beach area. Actually, let Eddie go on this one first because he's actually there. What do you feel the state of poker right now in Daytona Beach compared to whenever, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Was COVID a problem? Are people even giving a shit about the table games anymore like they were in the beginning? And where do you see it going? Do you see sports gambling coming? Because that would probably be a big deal. So I'm curious. And if you can't answer these questions, I get it. You work there. So
first of all, let me give a little shout out to Richard for letting me have the night off tonight.
Richard, our boy for life.
Manager, OC in Daytona.
Hey, pal, Richard.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
I think we're starting to come back, Mikey. COVID hurt, man. I'm not gonna lie. COVID definitely hurt. The poker right now is fine. The table games are starting to come back a little bit. Now, if you remember when they first came in, you had to beat the dealer.
Yeah, the Fugazi way.
So obviously, I mean, we had to get by the Indians, right? So we had to have a designated player, blah, 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 blah. The table games are already designed, as Anthony well knows, for the house to win.
I mean, there's buildings.
They're house games,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Anthony had a house in Ormond built on a, hey now.
Hey, now. Hey, pal.
Yeah. Hey, pal.
I love that day.
Hey, no.
Those days were the best.
Those were the best. Bringing them back.
So, I mean, now at least the players have a chance. They had zero chance. When you already have the game designed for the house to win, and then on top of it, you throw a little rule that you have to beat the dealer.
That's harsh.
I mean, that's actually a 4.5% house edge right there.
Yeah,
It's more than that, maybe.
it's they couldn't win.
Yeah.
Like I felt bad. Like people were coming in on a daily reg, and I can't sit there and say you're drawing dead, but you were basically drawing dead. Yeah. Like, you know, and a lot of the people,
but it affects your tips too. Like
Mikey, stop
Mikey, a lot of the regulars went bust because we used to have some big players come in there, and I don't see them anymore. But there's a new batch of people coming in now that the rules have changed and where we can compete with the Indians, where you don't have to beat the dealer. Everything's been good. We're actually in the process in Orange City of they're expanding. So obviously you've been in there. You know it's an old movie theater.
I'm no longer allowed in there.
No, you are.
No, I'm not.
You are.
Okay, let's move forward.
You want to sneak in?
I made a call for you. You are.
Okay, I got the call. The call. Came.
The manager's coming on Pal's podcast, episode 12.
Good. Let's move. They're doing an expansion.
They're in a process of, they got approved for an expansion. It's on its way. It's already started. Right now we have 24 poker tables, and I believe like 12 table games. We're expanding a whole nother movie theater out. They're putting 20 more poker tables in. They're going to have a live stream table, just like they have at Daytona now.
Smart, yeah.
It's going to be for tournament area and extra tables to provide for when we get overflow when we're packed. They're going to bring big celebrities in, they're saying. It's definitely going to pick up the pace and everything for sure. That's supposed to be done within 6 months, they say.
What's your thought on sports betting? Legalized sports betting?
I would love it to be in there. I think we should have it. I mean, you know how much illegal money there is right now out there? I think the taxes in the state alone would help. Like, I don't know why they wouldn't.
So me and Nick were addicted to that Hard Rock app. Anthony, did you have the Hard Rock
For 48 hours?
Well,
app? No, it was probably about 3 weeks.
I
3 to
had
4
the Hard
weeks.
Rock app, but and again, I've heard a lot of information on that subject about the app and what's about to happen March 1st.
Me too.
Should I give you the big scoop?
Yeah, I got a scoop too.
I
So go ahead.
gotta be
Is your
honest,
scoop
though,
bigger than my scoop?
I've heard a lot of big scoops.
Do you
from
want to
Anthony
hear?
when it comes to?
I know Joe Burrow winning 12
no,
Super Bowls.
not even that.
He might have the scoop dude.
I've heard him tell
the
me.
baby
goat.
I'm going to go out right now on the record that if we're doing Pal's podcast on March 2nd,
There we go.
on March 1st, there is an announcement coming from the Hard Rock, and I believe it's going to be the start date of Real Roulette, Real Craps, and the sports betting app going live. And if I had to predict when,
Live in the building. Live in the
April
building.
1st. And what I was told, and again, I don't think it's here, I think this is legitimate, that your sports app for the Hard Rock will not be able to be used unless you're on one of the properties. And that way it doesn't interfere with the Daytona Beach Kennel Club should they get sports betting one day, or Orange Park or whoever. But I know for a fact that there is an announcement scheduled for March the 1st. Now, can it be changed? Sure. In my phone, I've got photos of the actual roulette wheel and crap tables that were physically in the Hollywood Hard Rock. I was there.
I was there. I was touching them.
So they're still there. And from what I understand, this has all been planned. And March 1st, there's an announcement. So it's only 22 days away.
So I would imagine they're going to build a sports room where you can go in there and gamble.
Well, they've already
it's
got
beautiful.
the sports book already. Pardon me, the sports bar and that is already
And
been built.
Hollywood is beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Okay.
And
I
they
haven't seen
also
it,
have, what they've done is they've filled the areas where the couches are going with blackjack tables. But yes, I've seen it. I've seen the machines. I've seen the roulette wheels. I've seen the dice tables. I think you're going to see it coming on now. Will it be April 1st? I hope it's sooner, but
That'll be huge.
I don't care if they say it's going to be opening up in the summer, to have something to look forward to, because I can't deal with video roulette and I can't deal with video.
I could already
craps.
see Mikey stacking up
It's
on
horrible.
17.
And the
I can
minute
see
it
the
opens,
stacks on
I will be
17 on
there.
roulette.
Me
I'm
and
done.
Nick will be
Never-
running down there.
After this last St. Martin trip, I'm never gambling again.
Did they have gambling in school?
Yeah, everything.
Did they really?
Yes.
Oh, everything. I didn't know that.
I need to hear Nick's
I
take.
did not know that.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
I'll tell you off pod.
Okay. Off
Pod.
That is
TikTok.
Hey, pal. Bonus pod.
Do you miss it at all? Do you miss the poker room at all? Do you miss the friendships?
I that's the only thing I miss. I miss the friendships and the kind of family bond you almost with everyone. I mean, when I started there, that was what, 06? Yeah, we would go out every single night together. Everyone go to the same places. We all got out at the same time and really formed some pretty good friendships. That's what I miss. I don't miss working for the poker room.
Okay. This dates back with Anthony, because it's funny. The next topic is part of this as well. Me and Anthony were playing there when it was $10 max pots. Do you guys remember that?
Super Daytona.
Do
No.
you remember that?
At the old dog track.
That was
The
before.
old deck track.
That's
That
the
was
old dog
that was
track,
the
yeah.
old poker
Old
room.
$10
Where you had an
max.
Annie $2.
Yeah, $10 max.
No.
I
$2
don't even know it was $2.
No,
Way before.
Yeah, it's way before that.
That was limit
25
days.
cent, 50 cent.
And
Yeah.
it was
limit days.
$10
You got the
cap.
$10, they gave you your money
Yeah,
back.
$10 cap.
And then they refunded if it was
And
over.
then-
Before
and
I
then they
came down.
dealt it
I came
out.
in 05.
Yeah.
Super Daytona was
It was
like
this. We're
05.
going back to the 90s.
And I think that was a lot of stud. Though.
It was 90. No, I mean, it was 1990, late 90s, I think.
Yeah, but
when
that was
came
mainly 7-card
I
stud.
can
was the
remember
big
when I
game.
moved here,
Creepiest thing.
Anthony. I
Huh?
can remember when I moved here, and Mikey,
Yeah.
I'm like, it was big up in Daytona. Like, we were playing poker up in Connecticut a lot. You got Foxwoods,
yeah.
you got Mohegan, and I moved here, and Mikey's like, yeah, there's a poker room over here, and I go in, and I'm like, all right, Mike, where's the cash games? And I remember we used to play tournaments in the back. That was the only thing that was like real poker.
The $55 chip. Everybody would put their chip, then you
Yeah.
would win, and then you get the chip.
I mean, it was just
insane.
limit, and I'm coming from
Adrian
full-blown casinos.
Remember
and-
Adrian was running that?
Yes.
It was brutal. I
Do you
ain't
remember
gonna lie.
Adrian
Those
was
were
running
years.
it? Do you remember Brian Allen ripping the cards? That was one of the greatest stories ever.
Now-
Do you remember? Hold on, Mikey. Let's go further. So Anthony, he has aces, and Marcia. Remember old women Marcia? They used to
God,
deal.
yes.
So Marcia cracks his aces. Brandon rips up the cards, throws them at her. That's $22 for the setup. Then he goes out the front door. You remember the turnstile you had to
Yeah,
go in?
of course,
So
of
he
course.
goes through the turnstile and he
Kicks him,
the
breaks
front
it,
door
and breaks it.
Shatters.
Oh, shattered it. I remember
I
that.
do
He had to
remember
pay
this now.
$600 for the door
And he
and
hadn't made up to his
$22 for
card
the
yet.
setup to come back in.
Well,
And he did. He had it.
He
did, yeah, he did.
Well, I'm gonna go one better
Brandon.
because I'm been in this town the oldest. I know you wanted to talk about the subject, but you guys probably don't know this. But in 1986, I worked at the Daytona Beach Highlight Fronton.
I have a story. Continue.
For those of you out there in podcast land that are not familiar, Daytona Beach at one point probably had the greatest collection of highlight players back in the 70s and the 80s, players that, were world class. And no, they were Daytona Beach, the original Fronton actually burnt down. And then the second one that came in was fantastic. And it went strong up until they went on strike in 1989 or 1990. One of my first jobs ever was a security guard and ticket taker for the restaurant. Now, let me explain to you the difference. You're going to love this stuff, okay?
Love it already.
When is this, 86?
For
Anthony?
you, 86. I had gotten my driver's license.
My God, I was
so
in
it was
high
the summer.
school.
I was paid
wasn't born.
$31 per performance, which was for 3.5 hours. So if you divide that into what that makes, that's pretty darn good money. It's $8-9 an hour.
$28 more than you're worth.
Exactly. When it was $3.15 an hour. The problem is I would bet $42 each performance and listen to the pelota ricocheting off the wall. And at the end of the day, I was owing them money. But the point I'm trying to make is, it was 6 months for the Daytona Beach Kennel Club and 6 months for Daytona Beach Highlight, and they're both owned by Delaware North Corporation and rotated. The Highlight Fronton is where you got dressed up. To get into the restaurant, you had to wear a sports coat.
The paddock, I think it was called.
It was incredible.
Welcome to the Milford
women
Highlight
got
Fronton.
dressed up. There was no flip-flops allowed up there in the restaurant. I can tell you their dress code was strict. And by the way, packed. I don't remember how many people when you
Milford
played up in
Highlight.
Connecticut, but at its heyday, how many people could fit in a Fronton?
Milford was 8,000.
8,000 people. When Highlight closed in 1993, I think we had 40. You're talking about thousands of people. That was an event, a 4-hour event. You would get to dinner at Daytona Beach Highlight at 6, and you'd leave at 10:30.
Miami Highlight used to be.
that was
the place to be.
We
too.
used to have the
Oh,
big
yeah.
tournaments here. The Citrus Invitational always included Daytona. But yes, I actually worked at the Highlight, and they loved me because I bet more than I made at the end of the day. Here's my check. I signed over my check to them.
I'm not going to go into the long story too, but when I first moved down here, I worked at that Highlight as well. I worked there because the only way you can go on the court and throw the ball around was
Be an
if you worked
employee.
there.
Yep.
So I would clean Highlight once a week. I cleaned that whole building every Saturday morning because you were allowed court time on Saturday afternoon before the
Is
performance.
this before Finkies or after Finkies?
This is probably around the same time, believe it or not.
Right? That was
Yeah,
spring
and I didn't
break.
have
Spring break.
and my car was broke, so I would walk from Beachside. The Highlight was where Best Buy was, so that's like wow, what a story. But getting back to Highlight, many of you don't know, my BFF Edward Jerolman actually played professional Highlight, and I remember back then, and it's funny because you'll appreciate the story. Nick's like he wish he sat this one
What's
out.
Highlight, Nick?
Yeah,
Hey, pal.
Isn't that like wall ball?
But it's like it is like wall
Racquetball
ball.
on steroids.
But Eddie was a pretty gifted athlete, and we're not going to get into that because we're actually running out of time here. But Eddie had a choice to do a bunch of shit, and he decided. I remember you getting your first contract. Like I was there when you got the contract to play Highlight.
Hartford.
We played amateur Highlight. You were a million times better than me for sure, but I still enjoyed the game. Do you regret that decision of playing Highlight professionally? And what else do you think you could have done? Because a lot of people don't understand. You were really good. You beat Tevin.
Yeah.
Like the bottom line is, and they were so mad that you beat Tevin. They made you replay.
Yeah, they made me play
I was
again.
there that day.
Yeah, that was for the Olympics.
That was for the
1990
Olympics.
For the 1991 Olympics.
And that was the Olympics we ended up boycotting. He was going to Cuba. Was it Cuba?
No. Cuba, I went to the World Championships and played in Cuba in 91. The tournament was in the late 91 because it was 92. If you remember, it was in Barcelona.
Oh, yeah,
that
it
year.
was in Barcelona, correct.
And that's the only thing in my life that I regret is, okay, Mikey knows I had to win. They made me keep playing because they wanted to fix it for another guy to win, Tevin, who's a great player. He played in Miami here for a long time. And I beat him, and then they had me play someone else, and I beat him. So we wind up making the team. So we're going. Anthony, remember 1992?
Oh,
That's
very
the
well.
original Dream Team.
Yeah, that's right.
I would have been in the Olympic Village
With them.
with
With all of
Michael
them.
Jordan
With
and
Magic
Bird.
and Larry and Jordan.
And what happened was, with
Not
Mikey,
LeBron.
Mikey knows, right before
we would have lost the Olympics that year.
right before we were going to go, the Olympic Committee didn't sanction us as a real sport.
crazy.
Wow.
And it was going to be in
sport that's been around for what, the Basque regions. of
correct.
France.
And that
It's
that
been
year
around
it's in
for
Spain.
Thousands of years.
So there's only
centuries.
certain countries where the Olympics could be where they could have it. France,
crazy.
Spain,
Barcelona.
Philippines, which they would never have the Olympics, but only certain Mexico.
Yeah.
So they wound up canceling it right at the end, and we didn't have enough time to generate money to sponsor us. So I wound up not going, and that was
Sad.
pretty sad. And then after that, like a couple months later, I turned pro.
Well, it's
Hartford
funny.
Highlight.
We always say about how we're all good pals and whatnot, and maybe some time prior to us officially meeting, we had met each other. It's funny that in 1991, were you at Milford or Bridgeport?
I was in Hartford Highlight.
You were at Hartford. Okay.
That's where I turned
Did you
pro.
ever play Milford?
Yeah, 2000.
I was
Okay,
at Milford
so I
Highlight.
missed
I
him
was
then.
at Milford Highlight every night. So
The reason why I was saying, and it's very possible I saw him, is because I went to Boston University. So from 89 to 92, when I drove on my trips to visit
why
family
when
in
you
New
gone to
York.
Hartford?
Yeah, well, I didn't go to Hartford. What I did was I went to Milford, because Milford to me was the most beautiful highlight fronton
Yeah, it was very nice.
I had ever seen. Bridgeport
Modern.
was the more
won
rundown
awards.
one.
Milford
which became
Highlight
a dog
won
track
awards.
later on.
Yeah.
But Milford to me, home of the $3 bet, if I remember correctly,
Correct.
had the best players in the world. I think Michelena
Bolivar.
played there. Bolivar was there. It was Oscar's
Inclan.
brother, I believe, from
Inclan,
Daytona.
yeah.
Foe.
Inclan, Samuel
Foe.
Inclan.
Damn,
Foe.
you know Sammy?
Samuel Inclan.
Oh, I'm impressed.
I was going to say to you, because I can't ask this to Nick, and I, don't know if Mike
I have
remember.
no idea what the hell you guys are talking about.
Who is, in your opinion, the best highlight player you ever saw?
Bolivar.
By far.
You say Bolivar. I was going to say Samuel Inclan for he blew his knee out.
Bolivar.
But Inclan to me was number one. Bolivar and Michelena
I've
were
seen
tied for two.
I've seen Boulevard do shit no one could ever do.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
crazy.
And that's Oscar's brother, I believe. Yeah,
the
it
problem
was.
is you caught Bolivar at the end of his
Yeah.
career there. People tell me stories that when you hear other so obviously I'm in there with a bunch of Spanish guys and
Yeah.
other highlight players, and they talk just like you talk Jordan, where you're like, Jordan. Like, if you ever listen to an interview with Scottie Pippen, what will he say? Jordan's the best. They could talk about LeBron. Jordan's the best player. These highlight players that I played with in Hartford, which guys, James, Urquiaga, Lassa, all these guys.
A guy named with an A, not Arietta.
Arietta?
No, he's one of the best players ever. It'll come to me, but
these guys talk, and when you ask them, I would ask them, because I'm always trying to learn. I would ask them, hey, who's the best player? And Bolivar came out of all of their mouths. When he wanted to win, it's funny because me and Mikey used to go gamble on it. So we would go in there and we would literally look, and remember Scott Hyatt?
Of course.
Scott would actually, a buddy of mine, would have me run tickets for him because he was working there. He would give me winners. And he would literally be like, we'd be sitting there watching it. If you saw Bolivar go to the ground, like did a fall down rebote and went to the ground,
he was playing.
Cash the ticket. Yeah, Scott would literally be like, just go to the window. And he would literally run the game straight out. But on other nights when he didn't feel like playing, he was a dog. Yeah. But you could tell he was ready to play. Yeah,
Can I give a little bit of, here's something even Eddie doesn't know, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but for the last 2.5 years through COVID, I'm writing a book predicated on the back end of highlight. It's really around your life, but all the back end of what was going on. And I think people are going to be in absolute shock. I think you're going to be in shock after you read it. I probably got about 3 chapters so far.
So we should have it by 2040.
Well, I mean the bottom. But here's the But you guys didn't think I was going to get this started.
Yeah.
So, but the story is absolutely amazing. You were there, you know exactly what was going on. But like, even when those guys would come to the bar, cashing checks, the whole 9 yards, it's like the back end of highlight, I don't think people have absolutely no fucking clue.
Yeah, it was great.
And I'm pretty excited to write this book. But it is about my BFF Eddie, and you're going to love it. I mean, I'm going to lie to a lot of people and make you a star. So that'll be it. Nick, thanks for chiming in on your highlight information. But I did want to bring up one thing.
Isn't that a beer?
It is right now.
It is. Highlight is a beer. It's a pretty popular beer. So let's talk something you guys know. I don't know if Anthony, you play any golf?
Yeah. I mean, not as much as I used to, but yes, I was fortunate enough. I learned very early on in life, and I don't get out as much. I don't go out in the summer, by the way, because it's 700 degrees, but I do love it.
Best golf story of Eddie, Nick, and then I want your best golf story, Eddie, on Nick.
Oh boy, I don't think we've played that much together.
A couple times.
Yeah.
Who's better?
I've got
Who's
good
better?
story. Right now, probably Eddie.
Who?
But there was a time where I think Eddie, I was probably a little better than Eddie.
Wow.
Call.
10 years ago.
I call.
No, when I was playing all the time,
Hey,
I would bet him.
Who's a better? I
got a good Eddie story though.
would like a good Eddie story.
I mean, I wasn't there, but I've seen the video.
That's not. Oh, okay. You seen the video. That's not really a story.
It's my favorite time of Facebook memories when Howard posts the video of
Eddie kicking the ball.
Eddie losing his mind on the tee box.
That is great.
You ready for this one, Mike?
That's a classic.
So we go to this course. God rest his soul, Jason Green.
Jason, hey pal.
R.I.P. buddy. So it's me, Jason, Howard, and I believe Dwayne. Mm-hmm. So we got a big match, obviously for money. We get to the 18th tee. Now I kind of have a low ball flight when I hit my driver. I have a low ball flight. I've never seen bigger tumbleweeds, Anthony. So the tee box is here.
There we go.
And they had some tumbleweeds.
And you hit them all.
Right in front of the tee box. And these guys are getting in my head. So Howard's starting to, Howard's chirping. He's like, Eddie's never getting it over these tumbleweeds, blah, 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 blah. Is this the one you're talking about?
Yeah. He's losing his mind.
I rip a ball right into the tumbleweed. I mean, and then I just start losing my mind, screaming, obscenities, blah, blah, blah. We lose the match.
Breaking clubs.
Yeah.
Throwing his clubs into the tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
They don't deserve to be in my bag. I've used that speech before.
The whole time, you got Howard's giggle behind the camera, like the whole time.
Oh, that giggle. It's torture.
Just run over him with a golf cart at that point.
Real quickly, who's the better hockey player?
Oh, between us two?
Yeah.
Oh, me. He already lost a bet. He knows this. He has to admit it.
No comment.
He has to admit it.
What position
Eddie,
do you guys play?
It's full disclosure to right now. Who's the better hockey player?
I would say Nick now, But if
Overall.
if I was younger, no chance. He has
Who's
no
LeBron?
chance.
Who's MJ? Career.
You got to remember, Mikey, when me and Nick were playing in a league, I didn't play for almost 30 years, right?
Oh boy, here.
I mean, Anthony can attest to this.
When I go out there and play soccer every week,
So you know, I didn't even know there was a rink here. So there's a rink in South Daytona, and Nick's like, "Come play." And these guys keep saying, "Come play," and I finally like, "Okay, let's play." Nick's in his prime. I'm 53 years old. Like,
I'm with you.
It's not.
He still made a bet though.
It's not easy.
He still made a bet.
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
But yeah, he used to get more goals than me for sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to segue this real quick because I have people. So I just was on vacation, and people were asking me questions about new homes and spec homes, Anthony. And I remember you and I talking that your biggest problem right now is getting windows. Like windows is a big
Windows
deal.
is a big one.
So I'm going to ask you a quick question. And Anthony, I really want to give you the time because I'm really interested. What is your thought process on the new home market? Would you recommend someone buying a brand new home and an approximate wait time for someone to make that happen?
Well, I've done this for 30 years. I mean, if you are in the market for a new home right now, you have to just be very, very, very patient. The two questions that anybody would ask me would be how much and how long. And it's very hard to answer both of those questions right now because the market's still in flux. What used to take us 5 to 6 months to build is now taking over a year. Why? Supply chain issues. Why? You don't have enough labor. These problems existed before COVID. Labor was a problem in 2018, 2019. What COVID did was really hurt the supply chain. And then, of course, made the labor problem more. So if you want to build a new home, you get the house the way you want it. It's a wonderful experience, but you have to have patience. What I do as a home builder, and my brother and I have been successful at it, we tell and manage expectations from the day we meet you. So if you have any designs about moving in your house in 5 months, we'll be lucky to have a building permit probably in half that time. We have window issues still. We have issues revolving getting trusses. We have issues getting the truss engineering. So if you need to ask me how much time do you need, I'd say 18 months from the minute you meet me to the minute you move in. And that's for a 3,000 to 4,000 square foot house. You go bigger than that, if we're building a house for you in the ocean or the river, which we do a lot of, add another 6 months to that because you've got deep foundations. You don't know what you're going to hit in the ocean. Of course, we know the problems that we're having out here in Florida beaches right now. So it's an 18-month to 24-month all-in, basically, timeline. That, to me, is the key if you really want to build a new home. There's a lot of great builders out there. Everybody has different styles and different knacks, but one other thing to bear in mind is, and Nick can comment on this, the financing is tougher to get for a new home versus an existing home. Because of the fact that there's more inherent risk for a lender, typically now you're going to need, in a lot of cases, 20% down when you're constructing a new home, lay out all potential changes, up front to the builder, because here's the issue, guys. In order to bring that home in a year and not let it go 2 years or longer, you have to buy all of your materials now. Yep. And that's a problem. For the people that have loans, it's a big problem.
Because then the price changes, correct?
Well, here's exactly correct. So if you, Eddie, came to me and said, hey, I want to build, and say the house is $500,000, we typically, in the olden days, we get 10% to start it off. That's $50,000 in that example. Now you're probably looking easily at $150,000. Why? You got to buy your trusses from the minute you get your loan. You got to go ahead and you got to buy your cabinets now. How about buying your garage doors right now? We've never had to buy your garage doors months and months and months in advance. It's just the way of the new world. And the banks are saying, you can do whatever you want, Mr. Customer, as long as you lay it out. We'll reimburse you at some point. So the clients have to have the money to basically, bridge that gap in a lot of cases. And that's tough. So what do I see happening? I think over the next 6 months as the market comes in, you're going to see less and less building of the more bread and butter homes. But I think the high end will still keep going, which seems to be, in my world at least.
Right. So we're not actually talking about rehab. We're actually talking about customers looking to design a spec home or a brand new home. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah. I mean, spec homes are good because you can go to Nick and borrow the money.
Agreed.
And let the builder build it on his money.
Agreed. But let me ask you this question: is there a market for new? Is there still a big market for new home build right now?
In my world, the higher end market's still very strong. I really can't testify to that $300,000 to $500,000 range, which not that long ago was $200,000 to $350,000.
Agreed.
Okay, but from what I hear from the big national home builders, there's definitely a slowdown. And I'm not going to name names, but I know a lot of them, and they're all telling me that there's less interest coming in the door for that bread and butter product, which is a function of the interest rates, and it's a function of just everything being more expensive. A $300,000 home 4 years ago is now $550,000.
I'm going to throw in, again, everything's political for me. I'm also going to throw in that now that COVID doesn't exist, Fauci's a lying piece of shit. That the people in New York
Fauci.
That moved to Florida, they sold their multi-million-dollar properties and moved to Florida.
Overpaying.
I think they're actually sick of Florida. And I think they're all moving back to New York. That's just my thought process. So I definitely see, I say in the next, from now in 16 months, I think there's going to be some really good deals on some homes.
I think that definitely there will be some good deals, but I think it's going to take still another 12 months. You're right. Until that influx from the north where they're overpaying slows down, there's really no good deals out there right now that I see.
But
one may pop up.
I'm talking for Daytona. I'm not talking for Boca, Miami, the Keys.
Well, it's a different market.
Where the multimillionaires. Like I just found a place in Boca yesterday. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom that 5 years ago would have been $1,200 a month. It's $2,600 a month, and I'm lucky to find it because there's literally it's just tough.
I have a political question for you, Mikey.
Please.
So all these people coming down from New York, this influx of people. Obviously, we know that's a blue state. Do you worry about at all?
None.
I mean, last
Zero.
year when the election went down, it was about a 4-point swing, right? About 52-48.
Yep.
Are you worried at all that this could become a 50-50?
Absolutely not. It was proven. It was just proven during the midterms. Everyone that's here loved how DeSantis handled it. Nothing's happening.
So
it was
stay
absolutely
Republican?
perfect. It was the true.
Good. That makes me feel
true landslide.
I will say this, that if we ever do go blue, that the entire country's blue.
Yeah.
I think Florida, Texas will be the last two, and Arkansas, I guess, but
You're going to see in 2 years. 2 years is going to dictate the future of the political parties here. That's how I feel.
I have a new home question for Anthony. So say I bought my home in 19, Anthony. Nick bought his in
21.
21. I have about $150,000 in equity in my home right now. Would you recommend for me to sell my home, take that $150,000 and purchase a new home, or do you think I should stand pat in my home?
Stay pat. And
Okay.
stay where you are, because I one time made the mistake where I sold my home for a lot of money back in the early 2000s, and I wound up, spending more money on the new home. I think what you need to do is, if you're happy and you're content and you have a good arrangement, stay where you're at. You may not have $150,000 in equity in 6 to 8 months.
It won't.
But you'll have 110.
How much your mortgage payment?
$40,000.
Yeah, what's your rate?
How much is your mortgage payment?
$1,780.
$1,780.
So you're gonna go rent for what? 22,
No.
23, 25?
No. I was just saying to take the money.
I'd love to
roll
build
it
you a
into a
house,
new
but
home.
I'm telling you, I think based on what your example is, stay there.
So that's his opinion. In my opinion, so even at $2,200 a month, say you wanted to rent $2,500 a month, it's $30,000 a year. You can go the next 2 years, spend $60,000. Like he just said, you probably have $90,000 left over to buy something. I think this is what I told you when I thought you had $200,000 or more in equity. I'm like, Eddie, sell your house while people, like the market's smoking hot.
Which is what I did.
Take the money, okay, go rent something. Go rent something, okay, for 2 years, because that same $500,000 house in 2 years from now might be $350,000. You might actually get more bang for your buck. But that, again, by the way, I want to hear what you have to say. I'm going to let you know that I truly believe this market's going to go 20% lower. I don't care what anyone says. It's my opinion. I'm saying for Daytona Beach. For Daytona. We just had 2 storms. Let's make, and Anthony will agree with me on this. It's impossible to get homeowners insurance. That's a problem. So if you want to buy a house, even if you want anything, that's the problem.
Mine went up $1,000 this year.
That's the problem.
It's not impossible. It's just
It's
you got to almost kind of cut your coverage
incredibly
down.
challenging right now.
It's and I hate to say it, the problem that I see is, homes and equity and insurance and everything. That's one thing. The problem is the inflation, guys.
Great.
You can't pay $8 for eggs and $4.80 for gas and afford a mortgage payment that's probably a little on the high side. In 2008, when the market crashed, we didn't have that inflation. And that's the thing. I've had millions of conversations with Mike about this. I said, I live alone. I have no kids. I have no wife. I rent for $1,800 a month, and I think I got the steal of the century. I sold my home when I saw people just basically handing over stupid money, overpaying. But I'm by myself. If I had a family with 2 or 3 kids, like you do, it's hard. It's a hard decision. What are you going to do? Stick them in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment and pay more?
And you got to worry about the school system.
Exactly correct. So that's why I said to you it's a no-brainer. You stay where you're at and keep chopping away. And if you could pay off your home one day, fantastic, sooner than later. But
I value your opinion.
What's your rate right now?
I'm at 3.25.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Insane for you to go buy an house.
That's the answer right there.
I will take you to the old high and hit you with a pelota over the side. No, I mean no. And even though 6.5%, again, I've said this in the last episode, you can still sell a lot of homes, but you have a gift. Keep the gift.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Phil.
All right, so my last topic. I'm going to blow through. I want to talk crypto, but we'll save that for next week with a special guest coming in next week, guys.
Ooh.
We have
who is it?
Again, one of my my dearest
master.
friends, Kevin Wakefield from everyone's favorite, The Grind Avenue 31.
Hey, pal,
will be
Kevin.
here.
Hey, pal.
Hi, pal.
Hey, pal. He's probably surfing on some beach right now. He probably doesn't even hear us.
No, he's well. If he's hearing us, then
He knocked the balloon out
because
of
we're
orbit.
taping this. That means he would be in the living room with the dog. But here's the thing. Let's talk real quick. Daytona 500. Let me tell you my take on the Daytona 500. I think it's a nuisance. I think the Daytona 500 is a nuisance. I don't understand the excitement. I've been to 100 of them. If I never go again, I could care less. I think the way they set up this race was for mainland, and I think they forgot the history of actually racing on the beach, because I don't think beachside gets to take advantage of it anymore. I mean, that's just how I feel. What is your thought process, Nick? You haven't said anything in a while. What are you thinking about the 500? Honestly, as a guy who lives here and a guy that likes to party here, is the party worth it? And what do you think about racing in general?
I don't watch racing anymore. When I was young, I used to. My dad would take my brother and I to the races every year. All the races, ARCA, the whole thing. It was fun. And I kind of lost touch with it. And now what I've seen, the few times I've actually watched some of it, like the whole setup they have now, the stages, this and that, it's changed so much. And not to mention, just locally, it's not the same crowd that comes here. It's not the same that it used to be. Just local business people, like some of my friends that they talk about, 15, 20 years ago, race week was awesome for business. And then now they're like,
really
this sucks.
Do you remember Dale Jr. behind the bar at Red Tails, Eddie?
I do.
How incredible was that? Do you remember the racers used to come into our bars? They would just hang out and stay all night long. Michael Waltrip all the time.
I remember Elliot Sadler.
Elliot Sadler.
At Lollipops.
And
the night
Levantes.
before the big race, Anthony,
Oh.
with bras over his head.
Yeah.
Good for
with
him.
girls all around him. And he's going to race
Did he
200
win?
miles
Did he
an
win?
hour the next
Do you read
day.
that? I mean, we
great.
could like the same thing with Highlight. Red Tails was here in that heyday. That was great. It was great, but I feel like they opened up the place across for them. It's like they made the parking lot a place to hang out where people don't leave the beachside anymore.
I think that again, I hear that Daytona 500 is sold out, and God bless them, and fantastic.
Really?
I love. That's what I've read.
Yeah, it's been sold out.
Because they removed like half the seats.
That makes sense.
I enjoy
There's
the
no back
Rolex.
stretch.
There's
The
no
front
backstretch.
stretch is more room.
It's big.
I
That's
enjoy the Rolex because the Rolex is literally spread out over 24 hours. So
Do you have a Rolex?
No, I don't. I can't afford it because I'm on PalsPod. So, hey, pal. But I enjoy the Rolex. I think it's pretty good. You go there. It's a good place for business people and stuff. And I can walk around and you can get from one end to the other. The 500 is condensed into 4 hours, 3 hours.
So when I first moved here in 05,
Tammy,
Melissa, I thought the race was amazing. You got to remember, I can't remember, Mike, 98, I was playing Highlight in Fort Pierce, and I hurt my back. And I was selling cell phones, if you remember, for like 6 months. And I went to the race where Earnhardt died. That was my first ever race, Anthony. My first ever race. I was on the back.
That was 2001.
98, I think.
No, 98 he won for the first time.
He won for 98.
98 was the first time he
died
won.
in 01.
He died in 01.
Was it 01?
Yeah, he died
I
the
was
same
at the
year,
race.
September 11th. I remember
Do you
the year
remember,
they died.
who announced him dead? Steve Bohannon.
Steve Bohannon.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah.
I remember I was on the backstretch and watching it happen, and I didn't really think it was that bad of a wreck, to be honest. And then we're in line leaving. Cars start beeping their horns, like laying on the horns. I'm like, what is going on? People were getting out of the car and like laying on the ground, like praying. They announced that he died. Like it started to fiddle. Like
that's crazy.
He was dead
fiddle
pretty much
on the
impact,
radio.
I was on the front stretch, and I remember they put the blue tarp over the car right away.
So when I
my
moved
dad's
here,
like, that's not good.
Yeah, when I moved here in 05, I'm going to tell you, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09, I went to the race every year religiously.
Do you know why though? Because of Red Tails, and I never wanted to go. So you got all the tickets.
so then, like Mikey said, I don't want to say it's lost its fizzle, but we used to enjoy, like, dude, when race week was, Anthony.
Oh, it was
Lollipops
totally
packed,
totally
everywhere
different,
packed,
different
you know,
vibes.
Seabreeze packed.
Totally.
Now, like you said, now you got the Daytona 1, Destination 1 over there.
Yeah,
People either aren't leaving. Honestly, now you go to a race, you know there's going to be a wreck. You know it might be a 6 to 8 hour adventure. Dude, and that heat, like, once you live here after a while, now, like, say somebody comes to town, you're going to take them, right? Because they've never seen it. But if you're asking me would I go, no. Like, it's fizzled a little. But what I do recommend to you is, have you ever done the racing experience?
The race experience, yeah.
I did.
It's special.
That's
Did you do it, Mike?
I did.
It's special.
Cool.
I did.
It's really
I did it
special.
last year. This last time, Paulie Paints came down.
Yep.
I did it like 10 years ago.
Let me tell you something. I used to think,
Yeah.
you know, you're driving on the highway, you're doing 120, and you're going in and out of cars.
Nothing
I used
like
to think
that.
I used to think I could be a race car driver.
Oh, no.
I literally thought I could be a race car driver. And when we went there that day, I started to get some butterflies and nerves before we got into the car. So we go through the class, and the lady upsells us. You know, it was like 600. It used to be like 2,500. Now it's 600. So I'm like, this is affordable. I got it for Paul for his birthday. So we go there, we go through the class, and the lady upsells us and says, "Hey, you might."
Was this a Timmy connection?
No, Timmy.
Just
no. I would have to pay double.
No names.
Hey now.
Hey, now.
So
Cut.
So the lady upsells me
Groupon.
and says, "Hey, you might want to do the drive along with the guy first, so you could see the line on the track and get a little feel for it." We're like, okay,
how much more?
$60 more, no big deal. Get in the car. The guy says we're going to bring it up to 180.
You got the highlight money, so
Listen, 180. He says. Now you got to remember, Anthony. They go 200, 206 during the race. So we're 180. He goes, we're going to go on the low line first, then we're going to go in the middle of the track, and then on the third lap, we're going to go on the high line. When he went on the high line,
Scary.
I thought we were in the wall. Like, that car, you could feel that car gripping, and it was amazing.
It's astonishing.
Right?
How physical it is, too.
Anthony, I got out of the car. I almost didn't want to do it. I doubted myself. I was like, wow, this I don't want to crash here, man, right? So Paul went first, and I saw him do it, so I'm like, fuck it. Now I have to go. I can't wuss out, right? When you get up to 150, they put you at 150. I really have a new respect for these racers, because think about it. They're in that car for 200 laps where it's probably 1,000 degrees in that car, and they got these tubes coming out. You have to maintain focus with cars bumper to bumper, Mikey.
Blows my mind.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was out there by
called
myself,
I-4.
one car.
Just a different.
Yeah, one
called
car,
I-4.
Mike. I mean, really, I by doing that, I actually got a new respect for these drivers, because, man.
Well, have you? I rode around the Trek with a good friend of ours, you know, Eddie, and it was track day, and I got to be honest with you, he put me in the car
On the Rolex track or on the actual outside?
perimeter.
Okay.
And when Eddie took me on his what was it, the one with the Cobra, Shelby Cobra, he got it up to probably 165, 170, and I have to tell you, my stomach literally went one way and I went the other. I said, "This is insane." And he was just steady as a rock, but you're on that angle.
That first turn,
steep
Anthony,
angle.
you literally go in the first turn, and
I've
you think you're
never
going in the
experienced
wall,
it
and
like
next
that.
thing you know, Mikey, you're like this.
So
You're
I will
45 degree
I will
angle.
not be a race car driver in my elder years.
John TC took me one time in the Porsche.
Hey, pal.
oh, he's a Porsche guy. I love him too.
We almost wrecked.
Oh my
God.
Could you guys imagine? I want you to picture me and Anthony right now in a race car.
Well, the car wouldn't move. 40 miles an hour. Around
We look like
They're up to 94.
We look like the twins on the motorcycles on the Guinness Book.
Lean to your left. I mean, it's just the car would not go.
That poor suspension.
The little engine that couldn't.
That poor suspension.
All right, hey, pal. All right.
This was honestly.
Why is that race car bottomed out?
We could talk. We could literally talk for hours. Eddie, you know you're coming back at some point. This was absolutely phenomenal. Again, I want to give a shout out to Justin. Thank you for everything, Justin. You're doing such a great job for us, and you're doing everything.
Mikey, can I do one more shout out, bud?
Yeah, please. Give out all your shout outs right now.
Happy birthday to my son, Jacob.
Oh,
He's
Jacob's
4 years old today.
Happy
birthday,
hey,
pal.
pal.
Shout out to Maximus.
And Maximus.
And that's it.
Captain Maximus.
Jake's birthday today. So
Happy birthday, Jake.
4 years old.
4 years
I
old?
appreciate
Wow.
that. Thank you. I almost forgot.
We'll see you on PalsPod in 20 years.
And I would also like to say you're doing of all the successes that you and I have found over the last 30 years, you being a father, you should be the most proud of. I want to point that out.
I appreciate that, Mikey.
I've been around. I was there. Like I said, when we do the movie, and we'll do the movie premiere with PalsPod.
Can't wait.
Make
it happen.
Trust me.
in.
Listen, your highlights. You'll have some.
I will bring my sister.
So I'm just going to tell everyone, thank you for listening us this far. Guys, please go to the YouTube, go to the Spotify, like us, love us, tell your friends. We're working hard here, and we're trying to keep everyone entertained. Nick, thank you as always. Anthony, you know I love you.
Love you too, pal. Hey, pal.
And to all our friends, hey, pals.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
Hey, pal.
Bye, pal. Hi, pal. Hi, pal.
Hey, pal. Hey, pal. Hey, pal.
Hi, pal.
Hey, pal. Hey, pal. Hey, pal.
Hi, pal.
Hey, pal. Hey, pal. Hey, pal.
Hi, pal.
Hey, pal. Hey, pal. Hey, pal.
Hi, pal.